I'm Wayne Baker, Director of Public Safety Integration here at DJI, and I'm at the Cotton Bowl here in Dallas because in the shadow of the Cotton Bowl, the Law Enforcement Drone Association is conducting a training conference for police officers from across the nation and around the world. I'm really excited to be here with the DJI team at the LEDA training conference. And we were able to sit down with some of the LEDA leadership as well as some of the attendees to get better understanding of what drones bring to their community, their department, and what this training means for them.
My name is John Veal. I'm the president of Law Enforcement Drone Association. We call ourselves LEDA. We're an executive board made up of police officers who fly drones or have a background in manned aviation, bouncing off of each other's experiences and knowledge and expertise to create those programs.
I spent 4 years in patrol and 30 years in the Dallas Police Helicopter Unit as a tactical flight observer, a pilot, and an instructor pilot. I started flying drones in 2012. Crashed a bunch of them, and put a few of them in the trees, and had some motors run away on me. I thought it'd be a great idea to try to get a drone unit started on our department, so I started working on that in 2015.
We kind of started with similar ideas of wanting to start a drone program within our communities, but not really knowing the ins and outs of how to do that the best way.
We realized that we all needed some help to figure this stuff out. And so we literally spent 3 or 4 hours walking around the room with everybody talking about what they were doing and how they were doing and challenges and whatnot. And from there, we realized that we needed to be working together and started inviting everybody we could to get the most buy-in from our area to help work through that.
That's the most important thing when you're starting a drone unit in a police department. You've got to have that public buy-in, that acceptance.
Our upper command staff at the captain and chief level was very reticent to implement a drone program. It just took a lot of coaxing on my part to say, hey, there's nobody that's really concerned about this right now. We haven't gotten any sort of feedback about it from the public in a negative way.
It was very obvious the benefits that there were to utilizing this technology when it came to searching for missing people, endangered people, rescues, that type of thing. We had an incident where we had 2 people that had fled from an area, and once I got on scene with the drone, I was able to find one person hiding in bushes literally 30 feet away from where everyone was kind of at the vehicle where it had stopped. So we were able to safely take that person into custody by knowing they were already there and just calling them out, as opposed to possibly encountering some kind of situation that could end badly for everybody.
What do you see now as we see a lot of the legislative issues that pertain to law enforcement? Maybe it's a restriction on drone use in general to freedom of choice of what product they can and cannot purchase.
When you try to legislate out your competition, I have a real problem with that. And under basically false pretenses. I think it's disingenuous to try to say that, well, because it's 51% made here in the United States, that it's okay. If you take the mitigations that have been recommended, that you're not going to be sending information back to China or any place else. So I think it's disingenuous of a lot of these other companies that are, quote, American, to try to maybe hire lobbyists or whatever to get the laws changed to where they have a unfair advantage in the marketplace. I don't think it's right. DJI, in my opinion, is the innovators. They have been ever since I started flying. I mean, they keep coming out with new products. They listen to their customers. They're ahead of the game.
And this is a tool that at $600 for a Mavic Mini 2, you can have a legitimately useful piece of equipment. The county that my city's in, they're having a hard time getting some traction. They have a couple of Mini 2s. They've had suspect captures using Mini 2s out in the forest, in the rural countryside at $600. And so the cost of entry for these things to bring these tools to every agency is so low that why would you not have it as an agency?
Drones are the future. Not every police department can go get a school resource officer. Not every police department can get a canine. Not every police department can get a helicopter or a fixed-wing airplane. Every police department can pretty much afford a drone. And if we can potentially continually train to the standard that we're pushing for in law enforcement, you're going to see a massive amount of de-escalation going across the United States with the use of this technology. and wide adoption of that technology. But I'm really excited for the ability for our members to go and provide a fantastic service to the community. And that is our goal. And we want to be good professionals. We want to be effective at our job and provide that efficient service so that we're not only saving taxpayers money on not having to buy this expensive technology in manned aviation, not to say that it's a complete replacement of it, but that we're able to go out and perform a job that we wouldn't necessarily be able to do without it.
So we had one incident where we had a couple kayakers who had fallen off their kayaks. They had gotten stranded, and the only place that they could get to in this area of moving water was just a kind of a steep bank that had a lot of brambles and berry bushes along it. They weren't able to get up. So while we had a boat that got dispatched and sent there, those deputies have to respond to the boat shed. They have to hook up the boat. They have to drive to the dock. They have to put the boat into the water. They have to drive to wherever this person is. Well, I was able to launch one of our drones, which was a newer drone at that time, and I was able to get up into the air. I was able to find these people within 3 or 4 minutes. I had a speaker attached to the drone, and I was able to fly right over by them, and I was able to communicate with them and let them know, hey, this is law enforcement. We know that you're here. Are you okay right now? Give me a thumbs up if you're okay. I was able to clearly see them giving me a thumbs up. I was able to communicate to them, hey, we have a boat that's currently coming. It's down a little ways. It'll be 10, 15 minutes. Are you guys going to be okay to wait in that location until then? Give me a thumbs up if you are. Very enthusiastic thumbs up. So letting the people know on the ground, like, hey, people are coming, and we're not just going to be stranded here forever. So it gives them a little bit of peace of mind and lets them know that, hey, everything's going to be okay. So
our officers and our tactical operators really enjoy, because it really it can absolutely de-escalate a situation from us having to use a specific tool that we would have had to use had we not had drones in there to try to either gain compliance or to figure out where a person was. And now we can actually put a drone up or inside a structure and potentially head off an unwanted use of force with a person or an unwanted confrontation, saving both our officers' lives and also saving the life and safety of the actual suspect as well. The biggest thing for us is that we can actually change our tactics based upon the information that we're gathering from the use of a drone, whereas we didn't have that information before. So our ability to go get real-time information, translate that to an incident commander or tactical commander, they can use that information to change their tactics to either expedite the mission or to prolong that mission if we want to give more time. Because sometimes there's like, hey, you know what, let's give this more time and try to continue to talk this person down, because it's not going to be a huge safety risk to do that. And so those are tools that give real-time information that we use on a regular basis.
I had a suicidal subject who was sitting outside of a city park threatening to kill themselves with a handgun. We got on scene. I put my drone up. I got eyes on the person from a safe distance. Officers were totally out of sight. They didn't even know that officers were there yet. I was able to get eyes on while we had a negotiator talking with the person on the phone. I was able to see that this person was in fact not armed. The negotiator talked them into coming out and being detained by officers. Officers made an approach. The whole thing was half as intense as it would have been had they been walking into a maybe armed suicidal person. And yet I was able to watch the entire time in clear detail and be able to provide that information that just totally blows the risk out and the intensity that the officers are walking in with. You go from a case where you're absolutely walking into an armed situation and your emotions are at a different level than walking into, I'm going to go detain this person so we can take him to the hospital, versus I'm going to go approach a very possibly armed person and hope that we can talk or continue the positive conversation.
Our current administration and our current sheriff are very passionate about the program. They are very engaged with it, and they understand and see the benefits that it brings to our citizens as well as to patrol and responding deputies. And it's just become a valuable tool that really, it's almost expected that we have it now. To be able to send an aircraft in and get eyes on, whether it's something or someone, has been huge. So we can try to avoid some kind of confrontation, whatever that type of confrontation may be. And it's not only about de-escalation, but now you're talking about risk mitigation. If they can prevent those types of situations happening, it's not only safer for everyone, but it's also creating a kind of a safety net, I guess, success for those agencies.
Any police department that isn't adopting a drone program, even at the most basic level, is putting their officers and their public at risk unnecessarily. It's detrimental to not be employing this tool because the cost of entry and the resources available for useful, meaningful training are plentiful and affordable. Any agency that isn't employing drones is absolutely missing the mark there.
When I created the UAS program at Gresham, the whole goal for me was to create it the same way a manned aviation program would have been created, to model it after a manned aviation unit with aviation safety in mind, and all the different three-letter acronyms that the FAA likes to tout, with crew resource management, aeronautical decision making, making sure that we're doing the job that we are doing and providing a good product for the department and not creating an unwanted perception from the public.
An organization we've been working very closely with has been NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Training. And we've been able to implement what we're working through as kind of a LEDA flight proficiency standards 1 and 2, and utilizing their tested methods for being able to evaluate and standardize certain flight patterns and paths, and making sure that it's done the same way every time, and being able to come up with those types of numbers for times and whatnot. We've really been working towards establishing what those flight proficiency standards should be. And we've really been fortunate being able to have these types of events in lots of different areas, capturing as much data as we can on what is a normal time for people to be completing these types of proficiency standard flight paths in, and then working with NIST to establish, what is a baseline, what should a baseline be, and then being able to come up with, that flight proficiency 1, flight proficiency 2, and actually, I guess for lack of better terms, a certification. I think long term that will probably navigate into something similar to an accreditation, where if you're following these types of standards and these minimum policy requirements, then it can be okay. Well, your agency is LEDA accredited. That ultimately will gain credence to their organization. Like, hey, look, we are accredited by the Law Enforcement Drone Association. We are following all these minimum standards when it comes to privacy concerns and safety concerns and evidence retention policies, as well as minimum training requirements to make sure that the people operating these aircraft are doing it in a safe way, and they know what they're doing, and they're not just out there, flying around looking at random things.
What requirements, what standards do you look for in the future, or hope that LEDA can lead the way for in the future?
We are looking towards really trying to lean on that portion of our web content so that our members can log in and get assistance with an official LEDA recommended policy for agency policy framework. Right now, there's a lot of policy documents out there, and you can pick and choose what you want. But we want to build out an official recommended LEDA policy for police departments to adopt. We have a pre-flight, post-flight checklist that is the legitimate things that we believe a pilot needs to be doing before and after every flight, based on our years of experience and observing from these trainings and our experience in talking with folks. We are building out basic training curriculum. So members will be able to get on the website and actually download training courses, like a one-day outline of what they can then train on themselves. And so really pushing out the things that people need to be training, how they need to be training, best practices and standards for how to do things. Safety, safe altitudes, making sure that following all the rules and regulations are an important part of what people are doing every day, that officers are doing, that they aren't disregarding rules, that they're following the rules, and that our training reflects what those regulations are and encourages sticking within those.
I really believe in our mission with the Law Enforcement Drone Association and the foundation that we've built on training and the policies and procedures and skills that we base in the knowledge that we're building. And so I would always recommend somebody to come to us and ask us for answers to their questions that they have. I don't know the answer to it. I'm going to send them to somebody who I know would have the answer to it. But either way, we're going to get those folks the answers to the questions that they need. Our biggest goal and mission is for standardization of training so that everybody understands why we're doing what we do and everybody does it to the same standard and foundation and everybody has the same basis of knowledge. And we want to grow as an organization together. We're going to continue to kind of push forward and move forward with our skills and tactics. And so as we grow and expand, we're going to be growing and expanding our leadership team and our knowledge of the of state laws and federal laws and FAA rules and regulations. And as we continue to expand, we're going to be a continually larger resource for law enforcement specific knowledge of UAS use. And so we want to be that central hub for folks to come to us and say, hey, I want to start a program. What do I need? And then we'll say, well, come to our website and we will happily talk to you on the phone. Most of the time, to be honest with you, like we have such an interest and passion for this job that we'll have a long phone conversation with folks and just try to get them started. They don't necessarily have to be a LEDA member for them to do that. It's just more along the lines of building relationship with folks and trying to get them started on the right foot so then they can find their way.
We need to pull together, stick together. This is a tool that's too good to lose, and we want to make sure that it remains accessible to agencies all the way down to the little towns with a small budget that may just have something small, but make sure that that's still accessible to them.
Let me just say, it's been really exciting to be here with the DJI team at the LEDA training conference and to hear more about how police officers are using drones as a tool to help save lives in their community. And I look forward to hearing about more of the successes they have in saving lives in the future.